I want to go back to where it all began, really.
And I didn't really realise I was on it until I was actually outside the castle the first day. I actually met Claudia for the first time. That's when it actually hit home. I was on the biggest show, or one of the biggest shows in Britain. Lots of things I wouldn't try in life because I was so scared of failure. So yeah, the physical injuries were awful. The biggest challenge I had, I suppose, after that was my mental health, my well-being and my mental health. That's what I struggled with for years. I sustained really serious head injuries. I was actually pronounced dead on the side of the road. I never told anybody this actually on a podcast. You're exclusive, this is.
This episode of All Things Business, the podcast, is brought to you by our digital media partner, DFA Law. DFA Law, providers of expert and dedicated legal advice to businesses and families since 1838. DFA Law, the law firm for life.
Andrew.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah?
Yeah, really good.
We've been in each other's company on a few times now.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming on. This is one of the podcasts that that's obviously part of Mental Health Awareness Week. Mm-hmm. And I thought, what better person to sit down and have a chat with?
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to come here, actually.
So, Traitors is probably what's brought us together in a way, because that's been fantastic for you.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to where it all began, really. So for me and for our audience, take us back to how life started for you.
Well, I was born, obviously, in a small little village, born in 1978, so I'm 45. I know I don't look it, but I had a hard paper round. So, so I born in 1945 to a lovely family, parents, traditional, old-fashioned Welsh family. My mother worked in a National Westminster Bank. My dad worked in a local factory. And then, obviously, my dad, when my oldest brother was born then, I got 3 brothers, 2 older brothers, 1 younger brother. When my oldest brother was born, my mother gave up work then to be what's classed as an old traditional fashion housewife, I suppose, where my mother would be at home bringing up the boys, and then my dad would go to work, come home every Friday, give an envelope with his pay to my mother, and she'd give him a couple of quid on the Sunday to go to the club. And that's what it was like for years and years and years. And when my oldest brother was old enough to look after himself then, my mother went back to work. So my mother, a really good work ethic, my parents have. So they brought us up, really hard-working family, good morals, good traditions, good values and things. So they give us a good foundation as parents. We never went without. We didn't have much money. But we lived in a 3-bedroom, semi-detached council house. But we never, clean, well-fed, well looked after, and there was a lot of love in my family. So, but the only thing, we loved sport. We brought up really with a rugby ball in my hand. So I was born when I was 5, and I had a rugby ball in my hand straight away. And that's what it was. Sport in my family is huge. If you go to my dad's house now, he's probably watching some form of cricket, tennis. If Tiddlywinks was a sport, he'd probably watch that, to be honest with you. So growing up, the testosterone in my house was just crazy, and the competitiveness was off the charts, as you can imagine. So like losing the rugby match on the weekend wasn't a problem. It was going home and facing my brothers, the oldest brothers, and having the mick taken out. It was the worst bit.
What's the age difference? Have you ever played in the same team as your brothers?
I played in my same team as my 2 older brothers. My next brother up, Kevin, is 7 years older than me. Simon's 9 years older than me. And then Carl is 7 years younger than me. So 7 years between me, my youngest, and 7 years between me, my next, and then 9 years older, my oldest brother then. The 2 oldest, we 3 of us played in the same team for Llantrys, and
I bet that was pretty special for your dad and your mum, of course.
It was special, yeah, it was really special. So, yeah, looking back, it was great being really sporty and growing up like that sort of thing. But then, I suppose there's downsides as well, when you're being so scared of failure and failing in life. I wouldn't try, there's lots of things I wouldn't try in life because I was so scared of failure and losing, because I thought that was growing up. Failing, winning's everything. I mean, it's not a bad thing, I suppose, but it's gone one extreme to the other sometimes.
Well, yeah, and you win and learn.
Yeah.
And what was your position?
I was prop or hooker. Tight head prop was my main position.
Yeah?
Yeah, just the front row with all the, no brains. In the front row.
Well, you played to a decent standard, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, my dream, like lots of people in Wales, was to represent my country and put on the red jersey and play for Wales. So my oldest brother played for Wales. It was classed as Wales A now, but Wales A, Welsh development side, so the second Welsh team. He had a couple of caps for them. My next brother, Kevin, he had professional offers from Hull Rugby League. Lots of all the first-class clubs wanted to go and play there. Neath. But he was just happy playing with his friends in the local club. He was a good, really talented player. He could have gone first class professional, but he just chose to stay playing with his friends. And obviously, I played at a decent level, and my younger brother played at a really decent standard as well. So we all played a good level of rugby. So it was good, really good.
And then, if you don't mind, take us back to 98, August 98. Was it 99?
99 it was.
99.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And what happened there?
Well, back August 28th of August 1999, I was involved in a very serious road traffic accident. I sustained really serious head injuries, and I was actually pronounced dead on the side of the road. So when the emergency services got to the car, there was 5 of us in the car altogether. There was myself driving, there was my partner at the time in the passenger seat, my best friend and his partner in the back, and a girl I used to work with in the back. And when they turned up at the scene, they said, "Oh, it's too late now. He's dead." So this is where I was dead on the side of the road. Obviously, I didn't die. I'm not a ghost, so I didn't die. But there was really bad injuries, and then I was in intensive care then in a coma for 4 weeks in a coma. And my family were told on numerous occasions that I had severe brain damage. They could tell from the shadows on my scans. They said he got brain damage, and if he does wake out of his coma, he's not going to be able to recognise his friends, his family, walk, talk ever again. That's what my family were told, so expect the worst, really. So I woke up out of my coma, but I remember who people were, just luckily. But they said I'd never walk ever again. The doctor said they said to me, "You'll never walk again." I said, "I guarantee I'll walk out of this hospital." And they said, "You won't ever walk again." I said, "I will walk again. I will walk out of the hospital." I was 21. I was strong. I was determined. I was like, at the time, I was quite fit. I was doing a lot of rugby and running and training. And I'm determined. I suppose having older brothers and being competitive. I said something is negative, but it's also a good way as well. It's good as well because it makes me I want to be a winner. I want to be the best at everything I do. And I was determined I'd prove people wrong and I'd walk again. So it took me about 2 weeks to learn to walk again.
2 weeks?
Yeah. When I got out of the bed for the first time.
Did you have any broken arms or legs or?
No, I my arm dragged. I don't go squeamish in a part. I don't know people squeamish, but I sustained really bad head injury. I had nothing on top of my head. Basically, my head was dragged along the floor. I dragged my top half was out the window, so I dragged along the floor for a couple 100 yards. And then when the car stopped sliding, it landed on top of me. So they had to lift the car off to get underneath the car to get to me. So my legs were in the footwell of the car, and my top half was out to the side window. So the injury's really bad. So they had to move all the skin off the back of my head and put it on the top of my head because I had nothing on top of my head. And skin grafts on the back of my head and my arm. I got a scar on my elbow where my arm was dragged along the floor as well. So the physical injuries were awful. But the biggest challenge I had, I suppose, after that was my mental health, my well-being and my mental health. That's what I struggled with for years.
2 weeks to teach yourself back to walking. Can you remember when you walked out of hospital? I
remember when I got to bed for the first time. The physio, after a couple of months lying on my back, the physio got me out of bed for the first time. And I just stood there. First of all, I had to sit back down because I felt sick and lightheaded. So they eventually got me out of bed, got me up, and I stood there. I could not remember how to use my legs. My brain couldn't find my legs. Basically, it sounds crazy now, but I just stood there, and I looked at the physio. I looked at my mother, and I just could not remember. I knew what to do, but I could not find my muscles. I couldn't find my legs, and the physio had to pick my feet up and put one in front of the other for a couple of times. And then my brain started remembering my muscle memory and everything. I remembered how to walk then. So I learned to walk. And every night I try and pull myself out of bed in the middle of the night, pull myself up on the side of the bed on the bars and do a couple of steps, fall on my face again. I just determined I'd walk again. No disrespect. I couldn't go from being 5 years of age to 21, being sporty, fit, to being in a wheelchair the rest of my life. I know you'd adapt and things, but at the time, I didn't want it to be like that. I couldn't do that.
What was it? Can you take us back? Because I know it's 24 years ago.
Yeah.
At what point do you think you get back to normality?
Not that long ago, to be perfectly honest with you. And is there anything as normal? What is normal, I suppose, these days? Is anybody normal? Everybody wears a mask. I think a lot of people wear masks. Like I got up after my accident, I recovered. I've had good jobs, corporate jobs, banking. But I wore a mask for 20 odd years, I suppose. Inside I wasn't myself. I was grieving for many, many years of my whole life. So when
you say grieving, because you felt like you didn't get out what had happened when because you were 21.
Yeah.
You're still,
in my prime.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, you're in your prime. Now you're in great shape. If I look like you and I'm 45, I'll be well happy, mate. But when you say grieve, what do you mean by that?
Well, after my accident, I was offered counselling after my accident. They said, what you've been through, the trauma you've had, the brain injury, you've got to have see a counsellor. And I assumed I would see somebody in a white coat. They would judge me, psychoanalyze me, get inside my head. I couldn't relate to that. So I denied counselling. I said I didn't want counselling. It was obviously a stigma attached to it back then. It still is now. It's getting better, but it's still nowhere near where it should be. But at the time, obviously, there was a stigma. So I denied counselling. And I couldn't talk to my family because even though we're a very close family, we don't speak about feelings and emotions. Even to this day, I've never seen my family show any emotions or feelings towards each other. So I couldn't talk to my family because we just didn't talk about things like that.
Do you mean your mum and dad or brothers?
All of us, I suppose. Yeah, all of my family. Like I've never seen my brothers hug my mother or say they love each other. We do. I know we do. But I've never seen them display it or show it. Like I I've hugged my mother probably twice in my life, I suppose, and that felt really uncomfortable and awkward. And so I know we do. If I needed my brothers, they'd be there straight away. Yeah. I'm the smallest out of all of us. We're all big, strong guys. Like one brother's 6'5", one's 6'4". We're all big blokes, like, so we're all big, strong rugby boys, doormen, security, so gym people, the typical typical macho men, I suppose, the alpha males. So and nobody ever said anything bad to me growing up. I had a great family and great upbringing, but it was just the thought, you're a man, you can't show any feelings and emotions. Yeah. You're the provider for your family. You got to protect your family. You're the strong one. So I couldn't talk to my family about it, and also you're putting them through enough as it is. The trauma they went through must have been horrendous. It's only been the last couple of years that I really appreciated that. My mother says now, if you spoke to my mother, she'd say she remembers that night when the policeman knocked her door every single day, every day for the rest of her life. She remembered that, and the policeman knocking the door. And they were in bed at the time, mother and father, and the policeman knocked the door. Greg Prosser actually used to play rugby for Wales. He knocked the door. He's 6'8", big guy. And he said, Mr. and Mrs. Jenkins, you have to come now. Your son's been involved in a road traffic accident. So they thought it'd be just a little bump. So he said, we'll get changed. They're in a nightie, their dress clothes or whatever, their pajamas. They said, we'll get changed. You haven't got time to get changed. It's that critical. You have to come now. You haven't got time to get changed. So they put him in the back of the car. They blue lighted him from where they live in Talbot Green to Newport in the hospital, Royal Gwent. That's what I was taken, first of all. But then as soon as they got to the hospital, I was on the trolley coming back out of the hospital to go to another hospital in Swansea, because Morriston Hospital in Swansea was where neurology was and plastic surgery. So they weren't even allowed to see me. I was in such a bad way, they wouldn't let him see me. And my dad said, can I travel in the back of the ambulance with him? And they said, no, you're not allowed, because we have a doctor in the back, we have a nurse in the back, we've got lots of machinery, keeping your son alive, to be honest. And they said they didn't think I'd make the trip from Newport to Swansea. And they never thought I'd make it through the night initially. That's what I told my parents, he's not going to make it through the night. So they weren't allowed to see me for a long time. And as soon as I got into the hospital in Swansea, they operated on me straight away to remove all the bone. I had all bone embedded in my brain. I smashed my skull to pieces. There was lots of bone embedded in my brain. So that was the first operation I had, was to remove that bone out of my brain, basically. And the surgeon, they called the surgeon out of bed. When I was on the way to hospital, they got the surgeon out of bed and said, you have to come into work and operate on this guy we got coming in now. So he disturbed his sleep, so I bet he's not happy about that. So they dragged him out of bed about 12 of the night to come and operate on me. So my parents must have gone through a lot. Imagine being told your son, daughter.
It's the worst call, isn't it? I mean,
I got a son, and I love my son to bits. I'm so close to him, and he's not my brother, really. He's not my son. We go drinking, training together. And I'd never, hopefully that'll never happen to me, but I can't imagine that phone call.
So you said up until a couple of years ago, so what triggered that then?
It was two things, really. My previous partner, I met a girl, and she'd had trauma in her life, but she walked around, she was so positive, happy. She's the life and soul. She walked in, and she's very tactile. Like when she came to my parents' house, she'd hug my mother, kiss my mother, hug my dad, and all the boys would be looking at her thinking, nobody touches my parents. It's weird. And like my mother and father loved her. They were really welcoming. I think if she didn't let that trauma define her life, she could have looked back and been miserable, resentful, hated men, but she didn't. She didn't let that define her. As I'd walked around for 20 odd, no, it wasn't miserable, but I'd walk around looking back all the time, looking back at my life where I'd lost my rugby. And nobody ever said I'd been a successful rugby player, but in my head, I could have played for Wales. I had the ability to do it. I don't know if I would have or not, but I look back at where I'd lost my looks. I know that bad, but my looks I lost, my rugby career, looking back all the time, instead of looking forward. So meeting her, I wanted to be like her. But also, I met the man who saved my life last year, the man that they got out of bed to operate on me. Yeah, I tracked him down on Google, which is a bit creepy. But I tracked him down, and I found him. I sent him a long email, Professor Ling, and I sent him a nice long email, and I said, you probably don't remember me, you've operated on thousands of people. He replied a few days later, saying, of course I remember you. He said, your injuries always stay with me. What you went through was incredible, he said, you're a miracle. And then I said, can I come out? I just got this pull, I wanted to meet him. I don't know, for a couple of years. I don't know why. It's not every day you get a chance to meet the man who saved your life and say thank you. I know he had a team of people around him, but he was the main surgeon. So I walked into his office, and he said, wow, he says, it's incredible how big and strong you are, he said. You should be dead. You should have died on so many occasions, he said. We thought you were going to die. And look how big and strong you are now. So meeting them, I started appreciating things more. So he's got a point, I'm on this planet. I've got to make a difference. I've got to help people who've been through like mental health problems, had a trauma, lost their confidence, self-esteem. And they can turn their life around and have a good life,
But that took you 20 years, didn't it?
24 years,
To get to have that appreciation for yourself.
Yeah, it did. Because I was missing something in life. My purpose, my why. I think we were looking. Obviously, I've done a lot of research, a lot of reading, studying over the last couple of years about myself and mental health, well-being. But I was walking around it. I'm not bad looking. No comments now, but I'm not bad looking. I'm quite fit. My girlfriend was beautiful. I had a nice house, good job, corporate job, a nice son, a nice family, but I was still missing something. I still wasn't happy. I used to beat myself up about it.
Do you think it was almost like because you hadn't dealt with it and you'd almost like put it off? Do you think that was the missing piece?
Yeah. I hadn't come to terms with it. So the weight carrying on my shoulders around me for years and years and years. And I hadn't found my purpose and my why, I suppose. And you brought up in Britain, you've got a blueprint of British life. My parents are lovely people, like I keep on saying. I don't want to make it, they're lovely people, but for them, like the British blueprint of British life is you've got to work hard in school, get a job working for a corporate company, find a girlfriend, get married, have a kid and die. If you don't do it like that, you're broken. That's the life of blueprint. That's how lots of people in Britain live. I think that's a lot of old-fashioned tradition. And I live my life like that. And looking back, I did that. I've done it myself. I got into corporate jobs and I was still not happy. I was doing things for other people, keep my parents happy and keep other people happy because I thought that was the social acceptance that would be the norm in this country and money would make me happy. Like a job, for example. I never looked at a job in my life, looked at what it entailed. I thought I'd be good at that. I'd enjoy that. Then look at the salary. No, I'd look at the salary and apply for the job, go up in salary, up in salary, up in salary. And then I'd look at what the job entailed. I've never actually looked at a job and thought, I'd enjoy that. I'd get out of bed.
Now, it's the other way around.
Yeah, massively, yeah. So I tell people, I do a lot of talks in universities and things, and I say to people, what's advice do you give kids? I say, before you get any ties and commitments, find something you're passionate about and chase your dream and you can go after it. So the money will come on the back of it. If you're good at it and you work hard at it, the money will come on the back of it. Don't think about the money. And then I say, it'll be like you're not working every day, really. You'll be doing something you enjoy, getting up in the morning, running to work, enjoying it. I know not every day's going to be like that, but it's much better than getting dragged out of bed in the morning, running a corporate job you don't want to do, hate being there, work with people you don't want to work with, doing something you don't want to do. Your day just drags and there's nothing worse than that. Do you know what I mean? And so I say to people now, just find something you're passionate about and chase your dream.
But you're happy now?
I'm in a really good place now. Yeah, I'm on a mission now. It sounds like I'm one of these people that jump on a mission, but I want to help change the world really, and I want to help inspire people. And the message I get on a daily basis is really inspirational. It keeps me motivated. When I'm on a down day, I feel a bit tired, I get a message of someone saying, I'm watching you, helps you through my cancer treatment, helps you through my trauma. That gets the fire in my belly, and it makes you want to drive on and be successful.
What was there over that 24-year period? Was there a real low point for you?
Yeah, many, many days, to be honest with you. And I'm not recommending people go out and have children if they're struggling. That's the last thing I want to say. But yeah, what helped me was my son being born. And if you're struggling with mental health watching this, don't go out and have kids just for the sake of it. Andrew said it'll help my mental health. I'm not saying that. And but it helped me. It dragged me out of bed. It gave me my purpose and my why again. So I was 21 when I had my accident, and my son was born when I was 23. So I was still sort of recovering after my accident. And at the time, it was quite stressful. Obviously, I was at home. My partner at the time was in university in Bristol doing accountancy. So, and then obviously she was pregnant, and it was a lot of stress. It was a lot of stress. But looking back now, it was the best thing that's ever happened to me. He's a great kid, and he's a really nice boy. And I'm not just saying he's my boy. He's such a polite boy. He's nice. So like when you break up with someone, you think, oh, you come from a broken home, and I wanted him to have the same upbringing I had. So when we separated, you got that worry about the kid coming from a broken home and that. But I think he's a credit to me and his mother, to be honest. He's a good boy.
I've met him when we went to the rugby, and I thought he was a great lad.
Yeah, he's a nice, genuine, polite kid. And
I bet he can play rugby and all.
Yeah, he was a good player. Yeah, he was. Yeah, so that's my family, all rugby mad, and him being born, I dragged myself out of the bed in the morning to be a good role model for my son. So, people, didn't see the days behind closed doors. I didn't show anybody. I wore a mask for 20 odd years. Days where I was lying in bed, looking at the ceiling, crying my eyes out. I couldn't get out of bed in the morning. Do you want to get out of bed? Wish I died in my accident. Wondering why I was still here. It wasn't. I used to ask myself questions in my head over and over again. Why am I still here? Why? All the time. And I dragged myself out of bed because I wanted to take my boy to rugby or take him to football or, he doesn't know all this. So he probably doesn't now, but he didn't really know at the time. But he's helped me. He saved my life for more than I could... Or more than you'll ever know, I suppose, really. Not physically, but he helped me so much, give me my purpose and why again. So it was really good. Him being born was amazing, and he's a great kid.
He is. He's a credit to both of his parents.
Thank you. Yeah.
NLP.
Yeah.
Talk us through that and how you found that.
Obviously, I was just going to say a huge journey on myself to improve myself personally, because I've looked the last 24 years. I've done a lot of self-analysis and things, and I'm not proud of some of the things I've done. I'm not proud at all. And if I could change some of the things I've done, I know you can't change it. It molds the person I am today. I know that. But I've heard so many girls, for example, over the years, my confidence and self-esteem was so low. I hated what I saw in the mirror. I called myself a freak every day. I hated myself. So I get into a relationship with someone. I ended up self-sabotaging it. I jumped from one relationship to another. Sometimes they'd overlap. From weather, I've heard so many girls, it's awful.
They'd overlap.
maybe once or twice. But no, I'm not proud of it. I look back and think, arsehole, if Morgan was doing that, I wouldn't be happy. If my mother knew that, she would kill me. And like, but it was, I know it's wrong. I should have worked on myself first of all before I got into a relationship. It didn't happen like that. And I look at myself, and when somebody says nice things to you, it makes you feel good about yourself because I was so rock bottom. I jump ship, or I move, instead of working in a relationship. All my girlfriends have been great.
Do you think that was almost like because when you started to get a bit too close, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think, I don't deserve these people. All my girlfriends have been pretty nice girls. I've never had a bad relationship. They've been loving, they've been caring, and I've finished it. Apart from my last relationship, I probably ended every relationship I've been in. I've gone from perhaps if I'm getting too close, like you say, or I feel like I self-sabotage, thinking they're going to cheat on me, I'm ugly, I got scars, they're going to cheat on me eventually. So I get my hurt in before they hurt me, I suppose. And it's crazy looking back. And I wish I could say sorry to some of them. And I have said sorry to one or two of them. And they said, we knew what you were like. We could have told you all this when we were together, but you just wouldn't listen at the time. And so there's things I've done over the years and I'm not proud of. So I wanted to make myself a better person. And like some of the things I've said to my son, for example, after the rugby match, I cried when I thought about it last year or the year before. Like, he's finished a game of rugby, and when you're a sportsman, if you've had a bad match, a bad game, a bad gym set, you don't need your dad to tell you you've had a bad game. He's come off the field sometimes, and the one person he probably wants consoling off, to talk to comfort him. And I said some things to him. I'm thinking, wow, that's incredible. What's he thought like about the things I've said to him? And once or twice, I've got in my car and left the game and got home before he's even finished the match. So he's probably looking for his dad after the game, looking around. Where's my dad? I'm not even there on the side of the field. How bad is that? I feel awful for that. I can never change that. And I said, I'm really sorry. I've said to him so many times the last couple of years, I'm sorry, like what I did, I'm sorry. And in my head, I thought when he finishes the match, he could have scored 100 points on the field. I'd find the one thing he didn't do, the one tackle he missed. And that's what I thought. You focus on the negative, it helps him get better. But doesn't it?
Yeah, but I think I get that completely. But I think there's an element of that with every father-son relationship. Maybe not to that extreme.
Yeah.
But I think there is a little bit of that, and I think it's a generational thing as well.
Yeah.
And that's I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because there are probably many fathers out there that might be blowing smoke up making them think that there could be the next Alan Wynne-Jones or the next Dan Bigger, when actually they're probably not going to be, and that could almost have a reverse effect as well.
It does, yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a huge thing at the moment. Huge learning piece for coaches, parents, teachers, everybody. We've got to start being real with kids, I think, and start being honest.
So when did NLP come around? Because you're qualified in
neuro-linguistic programming. So study of human behaviours, why people say the things they do, why they do the things, their emotions, and it was a really good course. I did it with a woman called Louise. She's a really, really talented lady, and I did the course with her. But it helped me a lot personally. But obviously, what I wanted to do is help other people now. Help people, motivate them, inspire them, to show people you can struggle in life, you could turn things around and have a good life. So I wanted to help coach people, help people. But also, I did it mainly for myself, really, to understand myself better and try to be happy, I suppose, and try and find that missing piece in my life and try and understand people more and be more accepting of people and more understanding about people say the things they do, rather than me being... I used to be quite black and white. I used to be quite... And I wasn't very self-aware. I'd say things to certain people, and some things I've said and thinking... I look back, some of the things I've said, I should have said it in a different way, or I'm quite a passionate guy, I just say things I say and upset some people. But no, I said, I got to change the way I am. I want to change the way I am as a person. I wasn't happy the way I was as a person, the way I was. And I got a brain injury, blame my brain injury all the time. But as an excuse half the time, I think I just blame my brain injury. But I use that all the time now if I mess up. I had a bad bump on the head. I had a bump on the head a couple of years ago. I can't remember.
On your injury, are there any repercussions, or do you have any?
I never told anybody this actually on a podcast. You're exclusive. This is. I used to have seizures, fits, I suppose, and I had 4 or 5, I think, in the space of a couple of years or 2 years after my accident. But I haven't had one now for over 20 years. So at the time, obviously, my threshold was quite low. Yeah. My threshold was very low after my accident. They said to me, because I had really serious head injuries, I might have regular seizures. So I had, let's say, 4 or 5, but I knew what caused them. I never took any medication or anything. I knew what sort of caused them, so I changed my lifestyle rather than me taking any medication, because the side effects of some of the medication were quite loss of hair and different things. I'd rather not take any medication and try and do it myself. And when I'm out, for example, if I was out on a night out, it wasn't the lights or anything that caused the problem. It was the next morning when I was dehydrated and run down.
Yeah.
That's what caused the problem. And the first fit I had, I was lying in my pants on my mother's settee playing a game called Beehive Bedlam. You shooting...
Beehive Bedlam on Sky?
Yes.
My missus used to love that.
Yeah. you're shooting all these flowers on the screen. I was lying there hungover in my pants, dehydrated. That's not a nice thought for you viewers or whatever, but I was lying in my pants on my mother's settee.
For a budgie smugglers.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was shooting these flowers on the screen. All of a sudden, I got a flashing on my right eye. I used to get a warning for about 20 minutes, half an hour before I had a seizure. I had a flash in my right eye because it damaged the left side of my brain. Obviously, it crosses over. Your left side controls your right and vice versa. So I damaged the left side of my brain. So I couldn't. My right eye starts flashing. So I thought, well, I carried on playing. And then, I just had a blackout, complete blackout then. And I had a proper fit. And like you're shaking, you're unconscious and that. So I come round. I say to people now, I said, if I ever do have one, don't ring the ambulance or nothing. There's nothing they can do. Just put me in a recovery position, leave me, I'll be fine. And I'm fine after that. My tongue, and my tongue was swell. It's really bad. It's for days after my tongue is so sore. But I feel groggy and drained. It wipes me out completely for a couple of days. But yeah, I haven't had one for 20 something years now. So what I do is, if I go out, I drink lots of water before I go to bed. Don't watch any flashing lights. Don't do anything the next morning until I'm okay then. So I control my lifestyle and touch wood. I haven't had any symptoms or anything for years now. So hopefully I'll never have one again now. The last doctor I saw said, he said you're strong again now. You probably never have another fit now. So I did have regular seizures. But I generally think that my girlfriends will probably tell you, my moods are a bit different, I suppose. But I couldn't control my... I think I damaged a mood bit in my brain. I think the bit who controls the mood swings and that sort of thing. And I used to have dark days. I like dark days. I go down. I get really down. So I used to get really down. So before I did my NLP, my coaching, I used to get, if things didn't go my way, instead of just thinking that's life and just adapt to it, I let it get to me so much. Like if we had a plan, go out for food or something, and that doesn't happen. I used to spiral all the time. I used to spiral really badly all the time. I used to get really low then, and things that didn't happen or didn't go my way. I let myself spiral out in a bad. I focus on the negative all the time, and I let myself spiral then. And that was a big thing for me. Was just changing the way I think about things and controlling the way my moods and my emotions and that.
And going forward now, before we talk about the future, obviously last year, Traitors.
Yeah.
How did you find them or they find you? What happened there?
It's funny. I watched the first series. My previous partner was listening to a podcast, and these girls were on this podcast saying about this show, The Traitors. And she kept on to me, let's watch this show. And I thought, I don't know what reality TV is. I know it's not for me. And I said, go on, then I will watch it. I watched the first episode, and I loved the first series. We ended up binge watching it over 4 days, I think, all 12 of them. I loved it. It was brilliant. It was on last year, I think, or the year before, towards the end of the year, December time. This year's a bit later. So in March last year then, I had a message on my Instagram page saying, we like your page, we like your story, do you fancy applying for this show? And I thought first it was somebody taking the mick, one of the boys winding me up. I said, whatever the Traitors. Yeah, go, I'll try it. And then, so I applied for it, and I kept getting through the next stages. And then they said, I had lots of Zoom calls with producers, executive directors, and all these different people. And they said, we like your story, we like your show, you're a nice guy. Do you want to come on there? I thought, yeah. I didn't really realize I was on it until I was actually outside the castle the first day, or actually met Claudia for the first time. That's when I actually hit home. I was on the biggest show, or one of the biggest shows in Britain. So yeah, it was.
And that castle was in Scotland.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, in Inverness, north of Inverness. It was a stunning place, a really beautiful castle. Yeah, it's incredible. It was, and it was an amazing experience, really. And but it didn't really sink in. Yeah, it was a few pinch yourself moments where I was actually at the first round table. That was a bit wow. That's a bit surreal. And then meeting Claudia for the first time when she ran out the castle for the first time. Actually, I was speaking to Claudia Winkleman for the first time.
What's Claudia Winkleman like?
Oh, she's amazing. What a wonderful woman she is, and she's lovely. She's so down to earth, and she genuinely cares about the team or the cast. And it's like having another player on your team. Really. She really gets into it, and she's a great
host for the for the program.
I can't imagine anybody else doing it.
Yeah, it's almost like Davina McCall when Big Brother first came out. You can't imagine anybody else doing it.
No, that's right. Yeah. So no, she's a nice person. She's a nice family person. We had a lot of time running, obviously filming off camera to talk to her and things, and she's a normal, down-to-earth woman, I suppose, and she's a nice person.
So let us in, if you can, to what a typical day filming was there, because talk us through a day. You're staying obviously at a hotel quite local. Mm. Wake up 9 o'clock.
No, I wish no. It's quite a lot. It's a lot of work, to be honest. A lot of some days are quite long, and you're up at like 7 sometimes in the morning. We've normally filmed 6 days a week. You have a day off. So you're up at 6 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, and then getting ready, and then you get picked up at 7, 7:30. And then, you're just filming all day then, really, until you have your mission. The mission takes out a big chunk of your day. So that's like 4 or 5 hours filming at the mission, because they're quite big missions. And, yeah, that takes up a lot of your time. Every time you go back to the castle after the mission, you have a shower, have a bit of your food, a bit of reality TV. Then you get the round table then, so you go to the round table.
So you do all that shower and downtime at the castle?
Yeah. Then you go to the round table. And then you rip each other apart then and argue and shout at each other. And yeah, so it's a really clever show, to be honest. They pull you together in a team environment in the afternoons. You can't complete the mission unless you work as a team.
Yeah.
So you pull you all together, and then a couple of hours later, you're still trying. It's crazy. It's a game of psychology. So you're trying to look at each other, watch each other, look a little. You're trying to think how you think. I thought I was an NLP practitioner. I could read people, but obviously I wasn't very good at it. So I wasn't very good at my NLP either then, by the look of it. So yeah, I was watching the people. I was trying to look at people thinking, are they a traitor? And it's funny when you watch it back on telly, and like, also you get viewers' privileges. And I suppose when I watch it back now, I look and thinking, it's so obvious. Why didn't I pick up on that there?
Yeah,
but it's viewers' privileges, I suppose, and they film and edit it in that way, don't they, as well? It's like Where's Wally the book. When you know where Wally is, easy to find him. It's like a Traitors. When you know where a traitor is, it's easy to find him. But when you're in the castle, it's in the thick of it. It's all intense. You don't know. You can't tell. But it's really, guys, it's an amazing experience. I'll never change it.
And there's a pattern here. You know, when you talk about your why and that night in 1999.
Yeah.
You know, you're fit, you're athletic, you're strong-minded. You love rugby, which is a massive team sport.
Yeah.
And then you go into that environment, and you've already done your NLP.
Yeah.
But team building, you know, you got to work on that that mission.
Yeah.
Some of the missions would have been what, a couple of hours to 4 hours a time.
Yeah.
You put all that together. That's a one awesome life experience, and then that takes us into the future. So, what does success look like now for you, Andrew?
I obviously want to go into the mental health well-being. That's I'm something that's passionate about, something that's close to my heart, and I'm just a relatable guy, to be honest with you. And I didn't go to university. I'm not educated. I'm not a qualified counsellor, doctor. I just give life experience, life story, things I've experienced in my life over the last not just 24 years, before that, I suppose. And I relate to like thousands of millions in this country, I think, in Wales especially, but in the UK. My upbringing was great. I had a great upbringing, old-fashioned and that, but we just didn't talk about feelings and emotions. So I want to show people, so the reason I went on the Traitors, it wasn't to be famous, wasn't to be recognised. Don't get me wrong, it's nice. I wouldn't be sat here today if it wasn't because of that, but it's opening great doors and opportunities. But I did it to show people you can have a trauma in life, you can, suffer your mental health, you can maybe look a different way with scarring, but you can still turn your life around and achieve great things. And I truly believe every single person watching this, or anybody anybody, has got something in them, has got greatness inside them, to something inside to achieve greatness if they want it. You just got to find out what that is, what your why is, and then work at it and get it nurtured, have a good team around you, good support network around to help bring that out, I think. So, and that's what I want to do now, is show people you can achieve greatness. Don't let people tell you can't. Like, everybody's born, I think, with a dream. I think every single person is born at a young age, got a dream. What that dream is up to you, I suppose. Everybody's got a different dream. But then when you get conditioned to fit into society, that gets knocked out to you. People laugh at your dream. People, family, like something. But no, you just got to keep going and keep chasing that. And then eventually you'll get it, you'll achieve it. And that's what I want to show people. You can achieve greatness and great things in life and help people. If you'd said to me 20 odd years ago, I'd be inspiring thousands of people. I got kids doing school projects on me as a role model.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have been a role model.
I saw that on your Instagram the other day.
I wouldn't have been a role model 20 years. I was naked on the pool table at the rugby club 20 odd years ago. I would never have said as a role model then. But obviously, it's never too late to change your life around. If you're 30, 40, 50 years of age, you could change your life around. Some people say I have a midlife crisis. People say that. I think is for you that you got your truest self when you're a child, and then, like I say, to get conditioned by your family, by your friends, by society to do a certain thing. Girlfriends, I've been in relationships, I've been myself I've tried to change myself to impress a girl. I'm thinking, what am I doing like? And then one day you wake up and thinking, what are you doing like? And I think that's what people have a midlife crisis for. Their inner self, their real person comes out, and they think to myself, what am I doing? Stuck in this dead end job I hate, in a relationship that I don't want to be in. And all of a sudden, they just have people call it a midlife crisis. It's not. I think people just find their real why and real purpose in life, and they want to go after it then.
There's a lot of relatable stuff there that you said. So we're coming to the end.
Yeah.
But what I always like to ask our guests on the podcast is, if you're having a dinner party, you can bring along 4 people, past or present. Who would you have at your table?
Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
Yeah. Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Peter Kay.
Peter Kay as well.
Yeah.
Some would say that you're sitting next to him now, so I'm just going to tee that up in the comments because I've been compared to him before.
What's that, your sense of humour or your looks?
Well, looks, but I'm glad you said sense of humour.
No,
garlic bread.
yeah. Cheesecake. Yeah, I just think he's brilliant. The reason I like him, I was Ricky Gervais is really talented. He's quite brutal and how he gets away with this stuff.
Was it the Globes where he's gone in on everyone? That 8 minute.
Yeah.
Epstein and
you're all his friends. You're all mates.
Yeah.
And he said about Leonardo DiCaprio's daughter, his girlfriend is younger. I can't remember what he said, but I don't care. He said, I'm not doing it next year. I don't care. It's my last one. I'm doing it. Sack me. I don't care. And he's just and his Afterlife. I love Afterlife. One of my favorite series. I'm crying. I'm laughing and thinking, wow, what an amazing written program.
It's probably the only show I've ever watched where I've laughed and cried.
I think it's amazing. It's brilliant. But I never used to be into Ricky Gervais until Afterlife came about. I never used to be into The Office. I know I was one of the only
The Office is...
I wasn't really into it.
Yeah, I couldn't really get into it either. I know what you mean. It's like...
Yeah, I tried watching
Afterlife was special.
But his stand-up shows, I love his stand-up shows. He's quite brutal.
You know, sometimes like when we talk about having a low moment, okay, somebody taught me, it was Brian Wrigley. He was I had a business coach for a short period, and I've worked with him on a couple of occasions throughout my career, and he said, you got to find your happy place. And I was like, what do you mean? And my happy place now is Ketchum Park every morning, 6 o'clock, because I need those endorphins to get me going, clear my head. But one of my other happy places, and certainly for a number of years, has been Only Fools and Horses. So it doesn't matter if I'm having a shit day at work or whatever's going on, I turn my phone off and I just put on an episode of Only Fools and Horses. It could be anyone, and I would have watched it 100 times, but it still takes you back. And more recently, it was Ricky Gervais. So it was only a couple of weeks ago. I had a real long day, and I thought I need a laugh, and I put on the Ricky Gervais, the 8.5 minutes, and it's just like.
Only Fools and Horses, God, I grew up watching Only Fools and Horses. My brother.
It's filmed in Bristol, wasn't it?
Yeah, my youngest brother loves Only Fools and Horses. He knows all the words. He met David Jason last year in they have an Only Fools and Horses convention in Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
Not far from here, to Milton Keynes. And he had tickets together. Tickets are hard. He's on the internet about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, waiting for him to go on sale. And he got 2 tickets. Him and his mate went up to watch it. And he met a lot of them actually don't go. I think Nicholas Linders don't go there, but. Yeah, David Jason he met, who else he met? A lot of them are dead now, unfortunately. There are people in there, but it's a classic. It never gets old. And I've seen the Batman and Rob. It's amazing. It's so
Danger
funny.
UXD, Miami Twice.
Oh, they're brilliant. They're classics, and they'll never get old. They're 20, 30 years old now. Some of them. You're thinking, you watch it, it's just so funny. It's
and
so
David
relatable.
Jason is so good because we were saying earlier about Claudie Winkleman and Davina McCall.
Yeah,
a lot of bearing in mind he is Del Boy. He then went and nailed Touch of Frost.
Yeah.
Darling
Buds and Me.
Darling Buds and Me. Yeah. Pop Larkin.
Yeah.
And he's also he's the voiceover for Pip Ahoy.
All right.
Which Charles Ward, he's a local photographer here. Yeah. That's his baby, and David Jason's voiceover artist for that. Yeah. But Pop Larkin, Touch of Frost, and Del Boy.
Yeah, I laugh at Trigger as well. Trigger's another car. I feel sorry. Everyone he plays, he always plays the stupid one. Then he got Trigger, and he got the one in the Vicar of Dibley. Yeah. I want to play the stupid one. You are the stupid one.
But
again.
then you got footballers and rugby players up and down the country that if they're the thick one in the dressing room, they're called Trigger. Yeah.
Yeah, he's classic. That's all he's ever known as Trigger. I can imagine him going for another part in another TV show when he was alive. God bless him. And no, you can't play that part.
The broom.
Why? Yeah, the broom. 10 different handles. Or so yeah, it's the same
18
broom.
new heads.
How's the same broom? I got a picture of it. Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
So go on, Ricky Gervais, Peter Kay.
Yeah. Muhammad Ali. Yeah, well, see, I think he's an entertainer and he's a great sports person. I think, and I think he's just an entertaining person. I love to have a chat to him and talk about just his life, I suppose, and his sporting achievements and everything. And the last one, I forget, somebody really famous, I suppose. Mine are quite normal people, to be honest. I don't really get starstruck very often, to be honest.
It doesn't have to be a famous person.
What are you doing on that day?
Me. Yeah. You love me. Yeah. I'll probably be serving dishes.
Yeah. I don't know who it'd have to be. That's terrible, this, isn't it? Oh, Obama. President Obama, yeah. I think he's the last, but he's like a proper president. You see him, and he's quite respected. He's like a powerful person. Yeah. I think he's well, he talks well, and he just seems like a nice person as well, really. But you see the presidents now and the people, the prime ministers. You look at him, you think, really, you got no power, you got no presence about you at all. But he's just like
he walks into a room, people take note.
You look, Trump walks in, people take note, but a different way, I suppose. But like Boris Johnson, people like that, they walk and they're thinking, but look at Obama, he's well dressed, and he's just a powerful character. I think he's just a well respected guy. I think he'd be interesting to talk to, I think.
Right, so that's your dinner party guests.
Yeah.
Andrew, thank you ever so much.
I know, thanks for having me.
I've really enjoyed this, as I hope our audience has.
Thanks, Ben.
Wish you all the very best for the future.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks.